help of my daughter and my grandchildren.
Oh, thank you.
Can I say
It was
something? though?
so complicated. It was so stupid.
Can I say something?
One of the worst sites I've
volunteer-
ever seen.
I volunteer with
Okay, thank you
MRC,
again,
which is
as
the
you
Medical
see.
Reserve Corps.
With the help of
I got notification
my daughter and my
today. I got notification today that there will be no vaccines until the 28th, possibly after the 28th.
Right,
All
cancel
the
all
being-
appointments.
Yes,
Hmm.
yeah,
28th of what?
of this month.
Oh, this month? Yeah, I haven't found an
Yes.
appointment yet either, so.
Okay, so just go on the New York City Department of Health site, go down to the vaccine tracker, put in your zip code.
Oh, the vaccine tracker, yeah, I do that. It's still,
And
it's
you
full.
haven't found anything?
You're
As of
not
now, I
going to
haven't
get
found
anything until
Well,
they
you're
get the
not going to
vaccines.
find it. They canceled all the sites until the 28th. After the 28th, hopefully they'll open up again.
I have an appointment with Lincoln for the 29th, which is next Friday.
Should be fine, should be fine.
I hope so.
But they will contact you if it's not, if there's no vaccine.
All right, I have just muted everybody so that we can begin our service. Linda, it looks like you are doing candles tonight. Is that right? And I'm not sure who is doing Kiddush. Is there somebody who's in line for Kiddush? Robert,
do
might
it.
that be you?
I'll do it because I missed it last time. My computer blipped. It went on vacation.
Okay.
I'll do it. Thank you.
Is that okay? Or was Isaac supposed to do it, Elaine?
Elaine, you muted.
Sorry. No, that's fine. Robert, you do
Oh,
it.
okay.
Isaac, do you want to do it? It's all right. It's up
No,
to you.
no.
No, okay. So
All right.
Robert, it shall be.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. So let's just take a moment. Those who were here for poetry, we did a couple of very intense poems this week. So let's just take a moment to let those go, and also to take a breath and let go anything else that we might need to let go of from this week, at least for a little while. If there were good things this week, you could reflect on those as well. We are entering into Shabbat, our sanctuary of time. A time for us to gain perspective on our lives, to take a step back from the things that occupy us all through the week. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. Linda Kushner-Silverman, if you would unmute yourself and do the blessing over the candles for us.
Oh,
There you go.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May all who worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Oh, it blew out. I know we're not supposed to do this.
I know you know.
All right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kadeshanu b'tvotav v'tzavanu l'hadlik ner nel Shabbos. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who house us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. God,
I mean,
thank you. God's going to have to forgive me for relighting it.
I am sure that God will and already has. We continue with the Kiddush, and Robert Rothman, would you read the Kiddush for us in English?
Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of fruit of the vine. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who finding favor with us, sanctified us with mitzvot. In love and favor, you made the holy Shabbat our heritage as a reminder of the work of creation. As first among our sacred days, it recalls the exodus from Egypt. You chose us and set us apart from the peoples. In love and favor, you've given us your holy Shabbat as an inheritance. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'Shabbat kodsho b'havo v'ratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron l'ma'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra'i kodesh, zeicher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'chata, v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'Shabbat kodshecha, v'ahavo v'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mikadesh haShabbat. Amen.
We continue with Lecha Dodi. If you have a prayer book, it's on page 138 in the bracketed numbers. And we imagine the Shabbat as a bride coming to join us and bring beauty and joy to our Shabbat celebration.
Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela. Shamo v'zacho b'dibor echad, yishmi'anu el hamyochad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem tiferet veli tehillah. Lecha dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lecho v'nelcha, ki mekor habracha merosh mikedem nesocha. Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tehillah. Lecha dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki v'orei kumi ori, אורי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני, עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקרא כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקרא כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקרא כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We continue with the call to worship, the Baruch Hu. I invite you, if you're able, to rise. It's on page 146 if you have a prayer book.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed.
I invite you to read with me. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Noni, you're muted.
Sorry. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta, al kein Adonai Eloheinu בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. יהי חיים חיינו באורך ימינו ובהם נגי יומם ולילה.
ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. We continue with the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Let's be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וכשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Emet. I invite you to read with me. All this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us. You alone are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You are our sovereign and Savior who delivers us from oppressors' hands and saves us from tyrants' fists. You work wonders without number, marvels beyond count. You give us life and steady our footsteps. You performed miracles for us before Pharaoh, signs and wonders in the land of the Egyptians. You led your people Israel out from their midst to freedom for all time. When your children witnessed your dominance, they praised your name in gratitude, and they accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices joyously.
מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי הים לפני משה, זלי זלי, ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, לעולם, לעולם, לעולם ועד.
ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. Give us a place to rest, Adonai, our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש.
We have come to the tefillah, which begins, if you have a prayer book, on page 164. I invite you, if you're able, to rise.
Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohi Avoteinu v'Imotenu Elohi Avraham Elohi Yitzchak Elohi Yaakov Elohi Sarah Elohi Rivka Elohi Rachel Elohi Leah האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל העליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו נשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Amen. Let's be seated. I invite you to read with me. If you have a prayer book, it's on page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. We have come now to our prayer of gratitude, Modim. So I'd like to invite you to share what you're feeling grateful for this evening. You can put it in the chat. You can raise your hand electronically. You can unmute yourself in order to say it out loud, or you can put it in the chat. So, what are you feeling grateful for today? Robert Rothman says the Electoral College. Not everyone is grateful for the Electoral College. Some people think we should not have that anymore, but we're not going to discuss that now. So Robert is grateful for the Electoral College. Charlotte Russell is grateful for love and friendship. Modim anachnu lach, for love and friendship. Who else? Anna, you have something to add?
Deanna? Is it, I don't know, are you calling on me, Deanna?
Yes, I am.
Okay, our grandson got accepted into Bucks County Community College, and he has some special needs. So it's a big surprise. He wanted to major in fire science, and they're the only one in the region that has that. And he's been going to post-high school, pre-college classes, and he did so well, they thought he should apply, and he got accepted. So he is now a college man, so we're very thrilled.
Mazal tov. That's wonderful. Modim anachnu lach for your grandson's
Thank you.
acceptance into Bucks County Community College. That's wonderful. Elaine,
A renewal of hope.
a renewal of hope. Diane Schenker, would you like to unmute?
Oops.
You're still muted, Diane.
I'm still muted. For a better day, I am thankful today, and an even better one for tomorrow. May we all be peaceful and healthy.
Amen. Emma Rose.
Hi, I'm grateful that the treatment that I started is going pretty well this week. My Lyme, so the treatment's
That's
going well.
wonderful. Wonderful. Yay, bees, right?
Yay, bees! Yay, bees!
Let's see. Lori Silverman is grateful for good health and family and friends. Linda Horowitz is grateful for a new day and for new beginnings. Judith is grateful for good doctor's reports this week. Lori Pandolfo is grateful for vaccination success for herself and for friends and family. And I'll just add everybody who's been able to get vaccinations so far. That's wonderful. Modim anachnu lach. We're so grateful because that's going to bring us toward the end of this time. Karen Kramer is grateful for the inauguration of our new president and the first vice president who is a woman, Kamala Harris. Gail is grateful for the support of Bob in helping her do the online teacher certification, which was very intimidating. So Modim anachnu lach for success there. And Bob is grateful the construction next door has ended for the week for a peaceful weekend. Robin is grateful to have her grandson with her this weekend. Modim anachnu lach for all of those things. Eslin, what are you grateful for?
The infection rate in the UK is dropping, so I'm grateful and thankful.
That is good news. That is good news. Linda Feller, what about you?
I have a couple of things to be grateful for. I'm very grateful that we have a mensch in the White House. I am very grateful that my son's younger son is getting his vaccine at work. So it makes me feel good that, because he has not been able to work from home. And I've been concerned. So now I feel better. Thank you.
Modima Nachnu Lach for that. Linda Kushner Silverman is grateful to still be able to do her steps. Linda, if you don't know, walks thousands and thousands of steps every day. She is very diligent, and she is still doing it. So, all right, that's great. Monica.
Grateful to be here with all of you. I'm sorry, I'm grateful to be here with all of you.
We are grateful for that as well. Modima Nachnu Lach, that you are here with us today. Diane Schenker.
I'm happy
Or
that
are you?
I'm happy that Les is feeling better and that all is better with the world. And Robin and Neil are healed from COVID.
Modima Nachnu Lach for all of those things, indeed. Laura is grateful for her friends and to have hope with our new president. Anyone else?
Yes, this is me, Trisha.
Oh,
Yes,
go ahead.
I too am very happy to have Kamala Harris, who is of Jamaican descent. This is the second person of Jamaican descent in the White House. Just like my background, and I'm very happy that she's there because it's good to have somebody that is a mixed background in the White House, and I'm also happy for Joe Biden there, even though he's the oldest president. And sometimes some people they say negative things about him that they don't. He will live to see another term. You never know. Can never judge anybody because of their age, their size, or their weight. But I'm happy there, and I hope he makes another term.
Okay, yes, Kamala Harris is partly of Jamaican descent, and so that's a historic first. Robert Rothman says he is grateful that we have the first Jewish majority leader of the Senate. There's lots of Jews in the administration these days, so there were Jews in the last administration as well, so go Jews. Alan.
Don't forget, Schumer is also one. You have Senator Schumer.
He was just talking about Schumer. Robert Rothman is grateful for the first Jewish majority leader of the Senate, and that is Schumer. Alan.
I also, though, have to pray for those people, those 10,000 people that may just have lost all their jobs on the pipeline.
Okay. Is there anything that you're grateful for?
I pray for them, and I hope things work out for them.
Okay, so I feel like that's taking us ahead to the Misha Barach a little bit, but absolutely,
That's true. You're right.
So it's fine, and yes, indeed, we are aware that in our gratitude there are always people who are suffering, and we are in definitely a very challenging time as a country. So we will continue to be grateful for the things we are grateful for, and we'll include in our Misha Barach all of those who are suffering from the many things that are going on in our country that are difficult. So thank you for that, Alan. So there's the gratitude. I thank you, Alan.
I apologize for the bad timing. You are correct.
There is no need to apologize. I am grateful to you for keeping our awareness up. So we offer thanks for all of these things and more. Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. And now we continue with our prayer for peace. We pray for peace in our hearts and in our homes, in our country and in our world.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Lamcha Tasim Aleolam Shalom Rav al Yisrael Lamcha Tasim Leolam Ki ata melech Adon lechol hashalom ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom shalom rav al Yisrael omcha tasim leolam shalom rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam v'tov b'necha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol et u'b'chol shah b'shlomecha shalom rav al Yisrael omcha tasim leolam shalom rav al Yisrael omcha tasim leolam tasim leolam.
Baruch atah Adonai hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. And now we have come to our personal prayers. There are some words on the screen if you can see those. If you have a prayer book, there are words on pages 180 and 181. And of course, we can always use the words in our own hearts. We continue quietly.
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, be acceptable to you. Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Lord, my rock and redeemer. Amen.
We turn our thoughts now to those among us and those in our hearts who are ill and who are in need of healing, of body, of mind, or of spirit. If you have names for the Misha Berach that you did not send into the office, and you'd like to put those names in the chat, please do so now. And meanwhile, I also have names that were sent into the office. I will also give you a chance to add names aloud if that is what you prefer. We hold in our thoughts and in our hearts for healing this evening Jesse Sakharov, Ira Weiss, Elaine Drucker, Allison Plummer, Patty Ann Cubero, Susan Sisler, who, by the way, Susan is home from the rehab. She has an aide several hours a day, but she is at home. So we're very glad that she is continuing her recovery there. Alan Fremer, Susan Bilecki, Dana Haitkin Nelson, Arlene Rosenthal, Michael Luck, Barbara Weiner, Andy Glansman, Julie Falkowski, Amy Juskowitz Soonseller, Ira and Deanna Roth, Roz Bornstein, Susan Shuro, Irv Weiner, Eddie DeAngelis, Ira Goldman, Vicki Lightnaker, Nettie Trommer, Mia Gannon, Richie Stein, Jeff Abel, Harold Gleiberman, Suzanne Leknos, Florence Schoen, Jules Feldman, Esther Botlucci, Ted and Albert Galertner, Ron Homan, Joel Secundi, Iris Merlis, Maxine Breland, Ruth and Arthur Penn, Leslie Rogowski, Andrea Graves, Roz Zuckerman, Warren Feliz, Elena Aram, Chanel Kamabach, Jimmy Jenkins, Paul Kastick, Shirley Joseph, Teresa O'Sullivan, Jerry Taylor, Robin and Neil Parr, Ali Franklin, Stu Berman, Linda Goodman, Marlene Unterberger, Glenda Greenman, Freya Kashmir, Delphine Wolf, Roz Solomon, Joan Lifshitz, Ira Berkowitz, Marlene Unterberger, Glenda Greenman. Oh, we have those twice. Jane Perry's dad, Joanna Marie, Teresa O'Sullivan, Louisa Espute, Christian Chin Loy, Tatiana, Jerry Taylor, Abraham Kalesi, Patricia Matthews, Irving Barker, Linda Kushner Silverman, Doris Berlin, Della Cohen, Lynn Weinstein, Barbara Kluger, the families of Mary Schroeder and Willie Bagley, Hi Brett, Kay Bonani, Suzanne Mishler Hernandez, Joan Lifshitz, Kevin McCarthy, Elliot Woofsey, Kendall Valentine, Faggy Sash, Tara and Jackson Kushner, Shelley Samet, Ronnie Katlowitz, David Gershon, Stanley and Livana Tenon, Lou Levinson, Candace Duncan, Stacy David and Wilma Mauser, Hannah Paines, and especially David Mauser, who is having open heart surgery on Monday. Stacy Weiss, Perry and Rita Roz Zuckerman. Does anybody else have names that you would like to add? Warren Dingot, Erwin Cohen, Patty Cohen. Anyone else have names you would like to add?
Rabbi? Yeah. Liz Yasida, Mark and Paul and Connie Steiner, Monica Beyer, Patty and Erwin Cohen, Mimi Karp, Anne Marie Rogan, and Marion Mandel.
Thank you, Ruth. Elaine, go ahead.
We have to do it for you, I think. Are you okay? Drink a lot of water.
Lung, but I'm otherwise fine.
Okay.
There's just something in my throat. Nothing to worry about.
Bobby and Dan Baumgarten, David and Marilyn Bader, Pat Martin, Mara Duskin, Jeff Wexler. I think that's it.
We also include Emma Rose Tuttleman Kriegler. Anybody else? Does anyone else want to unmute and add more? Emma, do you have other names to add?
Annalise Rowland, Emily Calloway, and Sophie Tuttleman, Michelle Levar.
Thank you. Anybody else? Linda Feller.
Annie Nusimo VC, Michelle Nusimo VC, Kimberly Braden and Davy Finnegan, Claire Cyber, Sharon and Gary Katz. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Okay, we also include, as we said earlier, all of those who have lost their jobs and are suffering due to the current conditions in our country, all of those who are suffering from COVID-19 and from any other measures we've taken to try to slow the spread of the virus. We include those who have been wounded in service to our country or Israel, and those who have been hurt in recent disasters, both natural and human created. Let me share the Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotinu Mikor habracha leimotinu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Hopefully I'll have enough lungs to talk to you for a little bit. Something got in my throat, and sometimes I just choke on the air, and that's just how it goes. So Shabbat Shalom. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I grew up participating in the ritual of reciting that Pledge of Allegiance every morning at school. And so did my kids. And if you went to public school in the United States, you probably did too. Of course, we didn't say it like that. It wasn't so much with feeling. It was more, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. You know, it was like 3 words, 3 words, 3 words. Yeah. But children have been saying that pledge in this country ever since the pledge was published in Youth's Companion magazine in 1892. And at that time, Youth's Companion was the largest circulating magazine in the country, I learned recently. The reference to God, though, one nation under God, was not part of the pledge until it was added in 1954 to distinguish us from the godless communists during the Cold War. As I already kind of mentioned, I didn't give any thought to those words growing up. I just recited them by rote like all the other kids. You know, we were just getting through it. But the Pledge of Allegiance was on my mind this week after the events of the last few months and with the inauguration this past Wednesday. In his speech, President Biden talked about unity And so I was thinking about what unity is and how it is achieved. Jewish tradition supports the idea of unity in its emphasis on community, communal ritual, communal action, and communal solidarity. This week's Torah portion, Bo, includes the first ritual that the Israelites are told to engage in together. They have to take a lamb for each household, sacrifice it, roast it, eat it, and take a bunch of hyssop, which is a plant, and paint the blood of the lamb on the doorposts of their house and on the lintel, so that the angel of death will pass over their house. And God then goes on to instruct them, even sort of in the middle of like, we're about to have the last plague and they're about to run away. But God takes a pause and tells them that in the future, every year, they are to hold a festival, sacrifice a lamb, and eat only unleavened bread for 7 days. And Moses tells the Israelites that when they are in the land that God has promised to them and they observe this festival, you shall explain to your child on that day, it is because of what the Eternal did for me when I went free from Egypt. So engaging in these kinds of rituals as a group, as a community, as a nation, reinforces shared stories and shared values. I was talking about the Pledge of Allegiance recently with someone, and she said, but it's indoctrination. And I responded, of course, but indoctrination is only bad if you're indoctrinating something bad. If you're indoctrinating something good, it's okay. Now, of course, that's not 100% true because indoctrination does imply that you're telling somebody to accept something uncritically. And I think critical thinking is really important. But when you're dealing with little kids, like you start with inculcating the values, right? Which can be through ritual. And you don't teach, they're not ready for critical thinking yet. And then as they become developmentally ready, you can start teaching them how to do critical thinking. And then, maybe they start to question some things, but you want to get those values in there. And ritual is one of the ways that we do that. So our Torah portions, instructions about Passover teach us to use the symbols of the meal to remind us and to teach our children what? About the importance of God in our collective story and the value of freedom. In our secular lives in this country, the Pledge of Allegiance teaches us to see the American flag as a symbol of our republic, our democracy, and to commit to the values of indivisibility, liberty, and justice for all. It's interesting, the idea of distilling our national values down to these three: indivisibility, liberty, and justice, and liberty and justice for everyone. Saying that we are indivisible, meaning that we can't be divided, is quite similar actually to saying that we are united. And it's not too surprising that indivisibility is one of the things that appears in the pledge. Because remember, it was written in 1892. It was written by a guy called Francis Bellamy, who, by the way, was a Baptist minister and also self-identified as a socialist, which I think is fascinating. But anyway, he's the one who wrote it, and he was born in 1855. So he was a child during the Civil War when, in fact, it was the United States was divided. We were not indivisible during the Civil War. So I imagine that must have been something that seemed very important to him because he lived through a time when it wasn't true. And so by 1892, the United States is reunited, and I can imagine that he wanted to make the point that it would always be that way, that it would be indivisible forever. And then liberty and justice for all seem pretty solid to me as bedrock values for our country. And Abraham Lincoln, of course, was the president who emphasized that the ideals of our nation, like liberty and justice, should include all of us, everyone in the nation, which is not the case from the beginning. The founding fathers did not intend them to include every person in the nation. Obviously, African Americans were not included in it at that time, but Abraham Lincoln explicitly did say for everyone. So sharing core values, like the values that we learn from our Passover rituals as practitioners of Judaism and from the Pledge of Allegiance as Americans, that's one of the ways that we create the communal feeling that helps us to feel that we're united. So, but what is united? Is united that everybody agrees with each other? I'm going to say no, definitely not. First of all, that's not possible. But secondly, I don't actually think a healthy unity has everybody agreeing with each other. There's an idea, a very strong idea in Judaism, probably it's bigger than an idea. It's a practice, it's a principle that argument is important, it's healthy, and it's desirable. In the Talmud, we read the story of Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan, and they were best friends and also brothers-in-law. Reish Lakish started out as a robber and a gladiator, and Rabbi Yochanan was like a Talmud scholar, a Torah scholar, like through his whole life. And one day, Reish Lakish comes to a river and he sees this gorgeous woman bathing in the river. And he was like, I am going to go meet her. And so he jumps in the river and he goes over to the woman. And lo and behold, it's not a woman. It's Rabbi Yochanan, who happens to be gorgeous. And so Reish Lakish is like, wow, you are a very beautiful man, but you are not a woman. And apparently Reish Lakish is straight. And apparently Rabbi Yochanan is too. And Rabbi Yochanan says, you know what, though, you can marry my sister, who is also beautiful. And Reish Lakish is like, okay. And Rabbi Yochanan says, you should stop being a robber and a gladiator, and you should study Torah like me. And Reish Lakish says, okay. And so they start studying together. And Reish Lakish becomes a great scholar, as is Rabbi Yochanan. And they argue all day, every day. They go at it hammer and tongs, and they love each other very much. But then one day they're having an argument about weapons. And what is the sign that you're done making a weapon, like a sword? And Rabbi Yochanan says, it's when you're done hammering it out, you know, so that you get the edge on it. And Reish Lakish says, no, it's when you rinse it with the water and polish the edge so that it's really, really sharp. And Rabbi Yochanan says, well, I guess a robber would know the tools of his trade. Which is a horrible thing to say to Reish Lakish, who has not been a robber for a very long time. And Reish Lakish is horribly offended. And he leaves, and he's so upset that he gets sick. And Rabbi Yochanan won't go and ask him for forgiveness. And Reish Lakish dies. And Rabbi Yochanan then is very upset because Reish Lakish was his best friend. And here's what happens next. The rabbis are like, we need to help out Rabbi Yochanan because he's so sad because his friend died. And so they send this other guy, Rabbi Elazar ben Pedat, to go and be Rabbi Yochanan's study partner and take Reish Lakish's place. So Rabbi Elazar ben Pedat went and sat before Rabbi Yochanan. With regard to every matter that Rabbi Yochanan would say, Rabbi Elazar ben Pedat would say to him, there is a ruling which is taught in another place that supports your opinion, as in, what a great point, Rabbi Yochanan, you're totally right. And Rabbi Yochanan said to him, you're supposed to be comparable to Reish Lakish? In my discussions with Reish Lakish, when I would say something, he would raise 24 difficulties against me in an attempt to disprove my point, and I would answer him with 24 answers, and the halakha by itself would become broadened and clarified. And yet you say to me, there's a ruling that's taught that supports your opinion. Don't I know that what I say is good? Being rebutted by Reish Lakish helped him, but bringing proof to his statements didn't, because he already thought he was right. He needed somebody to tell him that he was wrong, so that he had to argue and he had to make better arguments because of the difficulties being raised by his partner. So argument is good because it helps us to sharpen our advocacy for our opinions. It forces us to articulate where the value in our opinions lies. And when we're trying to solve a problem, argument can help us to find the best solution by talking about what's wrong with all of the different ideas and what's good about them. But our tradition differentiates between arguments for the sake of heaven and arguments that are not for the sake of heaven. So what does that mean? How can you tell if an argument is for the sake of heaven? Well, we have some texts that explain that. One of them is Sefer Ya'arot Devash 2. And it says, this is how you can know. If the parties in conflict, other than regarding the matter about which they are disagreeing and opposing one another, truly love one another in their heart and soul, this is the sign that their disagreement is for the sake of heaven. So if they're arguing about this topic, but the rest of it, they have a loving relationship outside of this one topic that they're arguing about, then it's for the sake of heaven. However, if they are enemies and they're holding on to hatred for one another through this disagreement, this is not for the sake of heaven. So if you're if you're considering the other person an enemy and just trying to defeat them because you don't like them, that is an argument not for the sake of heaven. Here's another thought from Magen Avot. As it is said, that if it is for the sake of heaven, it is destined to exist. So what that means is they will concede to each other. They have no intention to defeat the other, only to clearly establish the matter, only to find the right answer. And so when the proofs of one are upheld, those of the other are annulled. So basically, when it becomes clear, like what you're looking for is the answer. You're not trying to win the argument. So when you found the answer, if it turns out that, the other person was the one who had the right answer or who had the best idea, then you concede. You say, yes, you are right. And Rabbi Naftali Hertz in the 18th century takes it one step further. Since their disagreements were for attaining the truth, therefore, when the truth became known, they would not continue to insist on their opinion, and they would accept in joy the correct opinion that became clarified, because from the outset, they did not intend to disagree other than for the sake of heaven. And this is, I feel like this whole thing is about being able to, partly about being able to argue about ideas without making personal attacks and without it being a personal battle where, it's about winning or it's about the enemy, but rather where you're just trying to resolve a question about ideas. So how are we able to do this? When we begin with shared core values, with caring about each other apart from the issue that we're arguing about, and with a desire to find the truth rather than just win the argument, then we can argue for the sake of heaven, and we can argue while remaining fundamentally united. And this, I believe, is the ideal. Robust argument and disagreement in good faith, with the confidence that we all want to maintain our unity. And in the case of our country, that we want liberty and justice for all, just like it says in the Pledge of Allegiance. As the poet Amanda Gorman said this week at the inauguration, somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. Let us build and maintain relationships and caring for others of good faith. Let us engage thoughtfully with our communal rituals, both religious and secular, and let us go forward with openness and with hope. Amen and Shabbat Shalom. We are going to continue now with the Aleinu. Looking forward to a day of a different kind of unity when all the world will be one, whatever that might look like when that time comes, a time that somehow is always out in front of us, that we're always working toward. I invite you, if you're able, to rise. If you have a prayer book, it begins on page 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגבהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Let's be seated. We turn our thoughts now to those who are no longer with us, our loved ones who have died in the past days or weeks or months or in past years at this time of the year. I've put the list of our yard sites for this week on the screen. As always, I apologize that the type is so small. If you have names that you would like to add for the Mourner's Kaddish, anyone you're saying the Mourner's Kaddish for this evening, you can put those names in the chat. If you have not sent them in to the office, I'll also give you a chance to add names out loud or to tell us anything that you would like about any of the people that are on our lists. We remember those who have died in the past year. Robert Bonenfant, Barry Strumpf, Dorothy Mason, Judy Panzer, Barry Ween, Charlotte Brown, David Schechter, Douglas Maines, Devorah Lewis, Tria Sapir, Jane Evans, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs, Manny Pastor, Ruth Rubin, Harris Reese, Emerson Berger, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Carolyn McNamara, Marion McGivney, Ronnie Turek, Michaela Schaefer, Helen Zagerman Schwimmer, Ido Sheffy, Elaine Gordet, Dr. Stephen Kamholtz, Carol Gross, Carol Andre, Robert Serpico, Jeanette Riley, Melvin Barish, William Lamp, Ina Sandals, Martin Schenken, Solomon Tettelbaum, Howard Jankelowitz, Sean Singer, Jeff Harris, Sammy Berger, Rabbi Kenneth Roseman, Chaim Braunzweig, Harry Baylor, Benjamin W. Schaefer, Shirley Hyatt Tobias, Myron Klein, Ted Tobias, Rita Belay, Jay Jankelowitz, Sandy Gannon Abel, David Ribler, Bess Newman, Buzz Lorch, Benjamin Benjamin Elwood, Edward Albino, Joseph Davis, Gary Zeitlin, Beth Rosen, Cantor Sidney Carpo of Philadelphia, Leatrice Langer, Inga Probetsky, Tom Merriman, Bonnie Sue Levine, sister of Gail Levine Freed, Park Shing Lam, Gershom Yeshaya Ben Leah, Faggy's grandson. Mona's brother, Leon Davis, has his yahrzeit. And Bob Pandolfo's father, Philip Pandolfo. Also on our yahrzeit list today are Beverly Berkowitz's father, Harry Berkowitz, Debbie Kosman's mother-in-law, Fanny Kosman, Faye Guskin's uncle, Morris Kreitman, Marcia Kaplan Mann's mother-in-law, Hannah Jessie Mann, Sam Silverman's cousin, Anna Nass, Elliot Drucker's father-in-law, Morris Stockhammer, David Olasov's grandfather, Joseph Tigler, and Linda Feller's mother, Frida Zausner. Jeff Siegel is also has been added to our list. Robin.
I think I actually missed it. My mother's mother, my grandmother, Sarah, passed away right around the new year. She was from Philadelphia. She's the reason I don't speak with a very strong New York accent, because my mother refused to allow it because she came from Philadelphia. My grandmother owned a restaurant in Chester, Pennsylvania, and she was quite the feminist. And you know, after both her husbands passed away, she got involved in the arts and the music, and she was just a fascinating woman. And unfortunately, she got dementia, and it was very sad to watch her decline like that. And I think she decided at around the new year, one year, that she just wasn't going to do it anymore, and she said goodbye. But she was, for many years before that happened, I had a great time with her.
Thanks, Robin. I want to mention also on our list is Rabbi Samuel D. Soskin, who for many, many years was the rabbi of Temple Beth and Meth. Robert.
Yes, I wanted to say that about Rabbi Soskin. Alan, myself, and Sarah were all here under Rabbi Soskin. And I just wanted to say that since this is right after Martin Luther King Day, I want to quickly review the fact that Rabbi Soskin had a very bad crippling disorder. He literally had to pull himself up to the pulpit. It was that bad. It was, I think, a botched operation. But yet he was so convinced that Dr. King was on the right road, morally, not just legally, that he managed to march along with the other clergymen. And how he did that, I still don't understand. But he did it, and he was very committed to the civil rights movement, and a large group of civil rights people joined Beth Emeth, and is still there, hopefully, to this day.
Wow, thank you for that. I didn't know that. There's also a Rabbi Emmanuel Schenk on our list, and I don't know who that is.
Know if she can say.
Rabbi Schenk was the rabbi of Beth Shalom, People's Temple.
Thank you, Diane.
Rabbi, my father, and it's on the list, but you didn't name him, Louis Kanofsky.
Oh, I'm so sorry that I missed him. Louis Kanofsky. Thank you. Yes, there he is. Thank you for that. I'm so sorry.
Rabbi?
Yes.
I'm really sorry that I did not get to know Rabbi Soskin. He was, he was in the background. We saw him at services. He was in his office when we had religious school. The most I think I ever spoke to him was to say thank you at my bar mitzvah. We'd run past his office and say, "Hi, Rabbi." We really never got to know him. And yet a lot of us, I was already in high school, so I was in the youth group. A lot of us still felt compelled. Our parents weren't too happy, but we wanted to take the day off to come from school to come to the funeral. I also want to add Mary Schroeder and Willie Begley.
Thank you.
Rabbi, Helen Plattner is on the list. That's Susan Radow's mother.
Yeah, I just saw that. I'm sorry I missed that one as well. Yes, that's Susan Radow's mother. Anyone else?
May I say a word about my mother?
Please do.
Linda Feller.
Yes.
Thank you. My lovely mother, Frida, who taught me so much and especially encouraged my love of reading, from which I went and eventually became a librarian. So I miss her very much.
Thank you for that. Is there anybody else who has a name to add or wants to share anything?
Rabbi, Seymour Willinger is on the list. Seymour and his wife Alice had a florist shop on 86th Street, and they provided all of Temple's flowers, I believe gratis.
Wow. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. We include, I also want to mention that Hank Aaron died today, the baseball player. We include all of those who have died from COVID-19 all around the world, so many people. And we include those who have died from other causes, whether in war or famine or terror or disaster, or alone and homeless on the streets of our cities. I'd like to invite you, if you're able, to rise for the Mourner's Kaddish or to participate in any way that is your custom. If you have a prayer book, it's on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mivorach leolam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar, v'yit aleh, v'yit halal, shemei dekudasha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'yimru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'yimru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to the bereaved wherever they may be. And let us say, amen. Let's be seated.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru, amen. Yaseh shalom, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
A few announcements before we conclude our service. Tomorrow morning, religious school begins at 9:15 a.m. B'Yachad will be at 9:45 a.m. and at 11 a.m. will be Shabbat services. Let's see. Then on Sunday, there's two things. At 11:30 a.m., the Jewish Cultural Committee is having a discussion of the Soul to Soul concert that took place on January 18th in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. That concert is still available for viewing, I think, until January 25th, although I'm not sure how one goes about viewing it. So is there anybody here who knows how to view the concert? Go ahead, Linda.
I believe when we paid for it, they sent us a link, and then it is through the link that you sign into it.
It's
And you
Theater
can start
Mania.
watching it. You don't have to watch it through at one time. You can come back and it'll say resume watching, and it'll bring you right to the place that you stopped at.
So how did you pay for it? Did you go to Eventbrite?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe it's still on Eventbrite. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Someone know
You
more
can,
than me?
There was a,
who am I hearing?
I'm sorry, but there was a link. This is Teddy.
Oh, go ahead, Debbie. Go ahead.
I watched it today. There was a link sent from the temple, and you just clicked on it, and it took you to the site.
Okay.
And it was free now.
Great. So you just have
There was a link sent.
Okay, so
Click on the link.
So look for the link in your email and click on the link if you want to watch the concert. And then there's a discussion at 11:30 a.m. on Sunday. Zoom. It says Zoom information to follow. So hopefully that has gone out. Then at 3 o'clock is Tracing Your Jewish Roots at Home. This is also on Sunday. It's an interactive online presentation with tips and resources for getting started with online family history research, led by genealogy librarian Moria Amit from the Center for Jewish History. That is on Eventbrite, and the link is in the email that I sent out yesterday with links. Tuesday is afternoon Torah study with Rabbi Pinsky. Next Friday, we will have poetry text study again at 7 and services at 8. Then on Saturday, January 30th at 10 a.m., there will be a Tu B'Shvat celebration led by Rabbi Pinsky. It is for the whole congregation, so please do join in on that. The link was in the email yesterday, and it'll also be in the email next Thursday. And then services will be at 11. And then that Sunday, this was not in the email yet, but then that Sunday will be another Tu B'Shvat celebration across the pond with our friends in Cork in Ireland. And I'm going to be leading that one together with Rudy Lachs, who is their person in Ireland who does music. And so she's going to be doing some music for our celebration as well. And that's what's going on. Does anybody have anything else? Oh, I have one other thing to add, which is the Hey Neighbor series, which we're participating in this. It's a project of the Interfaith Coalition of Brooklyn, and it's facilitating interfaith discussions of various aspects of identity using games and techniques that originate in theater. So it's called applied theater. It's using theater techniques to explore real life topics. The first 3 sessions have already happened, and they were interesting and fun. There are about 3 sessions left, and you can come to just one or you can come to more. The Eventbrite link was in the email that I sent yesterday, right up near the top. And or you can go to Eventbrite, and if you search on Hey Neighbor, I imagine you'll find it. So,
Rabbi, one change. The Torah study, Rabbi Pinsky, for this week only is going to be Wednesday instead of Tuesday, because she's going to be traveling on Tuesday. So Wednesday at the same time at 1 p.m.
Thank you so much for that, Gerard. That's really important information. So Wednesday instead of Tuesday is Torah study. Was that correct in the email and I just read it wrong? No, it's wrong in the email. So please note, Torah study is going to be on Wednesday this week at 1 p.m. instead of Tuesday, which I assume will be clarified when the Zoom link goes out as well. Anything else? All right. Are we going to do a closing song, Noni, or are we just going to end?
I will close with God Bless America.
Excellent.
I mean, we could also close with Take Me Out to the Ball Game because of Hank Aaron, but we'll close with God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha Shalom. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine on you and be gracious to you. May God lift God's face toward you and give you peace. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.